really that it's a months of long process. My basic philosophy is watching racing, watching jumps racing over and over. So I'll watch it live in the afternoon when I'm trying to trade and punt, and then the following morning I get up about 5 in the morning, generally speaking anyway. I'll make notes on not every horse, but anything significant in a race. So to give an example, the last few days, we're 4 weeks before the festival now, but the ground suddenly changed, for instance. So while we've had the last 8 months on soft, heavy ground, suddenly we've had a couple of weeks of dry weather. It's now good to soft. Now, the clerks of the courses are still calling it soft or good to soft in places. Ludlow the other day, the ground for me was fast. I mean, I've recorded it as sort of good and good to firm in places, whereas the official is good to soft. So it's things like that. I'm looking for an edge, something that perhaps isn't in the official form book. I'm looking for what part of the track horses race on. I'm obsessed about the best, the worst ground. Certain tracks, for instance, like Leicester, it's 100 yards better out wide on the hurdle course. There's super glue on the inside strip. There has been for the last 20 years. Toaster used to be very much the same when it was very testing before it shut. Fontwell, the ground is better wide, generally speaking. These are generalisations, but so I'm looking for things that might have been missed by the people making the comments on the races. Horses who deserve extra credit, who went wider, who are ridden by an inexperienced claim. All these sort of things, note-taking, putting it into the database. So when I look at a race on the day at Cheltenham, I'll be able to call up my comments over the last 6 months or so and see, well, just trying to form an opinion that's different from the Betfair prices or the bookmakers' prices. So you're looking for angles and edges that you can't find in the Racing Post. That's the long and the short of it. Sometimes horses show a preference to jump right or left. Cheltenham's obviously left-handed. You don't want anything that isn't a straight jumper or jumping left. If you've jumped right in winning, say you've won at, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a left-handed track. Say you've won at Warwick, but you've jumped out to the right, which does happen quite a lot. I don't think you want to be doing that at Cheltenham. You might get away with it in an uncompetitive Monday to Friday race, in a small field where you can dominate. At Cheltenham, these little half lengths that you're losing jumping out to the right can matter a lot. So things like that, just reasons to be against horses. I mean, we've talked about a horse earlier today, Forheen. I don't think his jumping is fluent or natural enough to win at Cheltenham over fences. Now that might turn out to be rubbish. When he wins by 20 lengths, you can replay the video of me talking nonsense about him, but he's one of those horses who's got a massive public following. He's going to be overbet. I'm not personally convinced his jumping's that wonderful. I'll be looking to be against him at a short price. So it's looking for edges and angles that aren't in the form book, really. The Betfair market, I try to form an opinion by looking at my database and before I look at Betfair, because I think sometimes you can look at Betfair, especially in the mornings when there's no liquidity, generally speaking. Now, at the festival, there's mega liquidity, so it's slightly different. Maybe I would look at Betfair to first to see the shape of the market, but generally speaking, Monday to Friday, I would look at my database first, form opinions in my mind of the ordering, the structure, how the race is going to be run, and then look at Betfair to get a grasp. Or the bookmakers, in fact, in the morning, because Betfair in the morning is not wonderful. It's a liquid, so it's interesting to see the shape. And sometimes these days in the mornings you can wildly disagree, because Betfair is used by the bookmakers as a guide of how they're going to bet on every race every day religiously. And we're talking about a few £100s worth of turnover. Betfair can be very cleverly manipulated by very clever people who want to bet certain horses. They can put blockers up to back something they don't fancy, to hold the market. I mean, if you put £200 up on a horse at 7 a.m. in the morning, Monday to Friday racing, at 5 to 2, every firm in the country will go 9 to 4. You haven't even had to have £200 on it. You can literally manipulate the market in that way. Now, Cheltenham's obviously completely different. Vast sums of money, an established anti-post market. It's slightly different. Harder to find ricks, generally speaking, but still, it's 100% books near as damn it, with commission 102% these days. You really should be able to find value, and certainly you'll be able to find differential between your opinion and the Betfair price or the bookmaker's opinion. I keep a record of how I get on financially because I bet out of one account, basically. These days I'm confined mainly to Betfair. I can make myself busy maybe and get friends to bet a couple of horses for me if I want to, and certainly during the festival I might go to a shop or send someone to a shop if I think there's value to be had. But generally speaking, these days I'm completely exchange driven, which has got the advantage of you don't chase. I'm solely on Betfair. You don't ever get too carried away with punting, and it's very important at Cheltenham. Perhaps we should stress this, that because there's wonderful racing, there's top class action every half an hour, you can get drawn into playing much too big. You need to stay in second gear with your punting always. Play at a level you're comfortable with. Never have too much on, and don't play bigger and bigger just because the racing's a better standard. In fact, that's the wrong way to play. Really, you should probably be having more on at Plumpton on a Monday than Cheltenham on a Friday, in truth, because the racing's a lot harder and the markets are much more established and more likely to be right. The cross country I can't stand. I'm not racing to have a bet on it ever. It's just not for me. It's not something I follow the horses who run in it particularly closely. Although Tiger Roll, again, he dotted up in that last year. So, I mean, perhaps the times are changing. I should get more interested in it. I tend to like the novice races because I feel like I've got a real handle on the form, both in Britain and Ireland. The huge field handicaps I will play in if I can find 6 places or extra places with the bookmakers. I think there's terrific value there. Sometimes they're betting 12 to 1 the field, 14 to 1 the field, and you can justify backing 3, 4, 5 of them each way. If you're getting 6 places, they're looking, to put it crudely, for a 600% in their place, but will they never get anywhere near it? It's probably 530. They're wildly, wildly overbroke. The margins are very much in your favour. So, I mean, I know people, some of these races where they get offered 6 places, they'll back 10 horses each way, which sounds ridiculous. You can't back 10 horses each way, but mathematically it's fantastic. You know, if you happen to land on the winner, then you're bound to make a profit. Even then, if you can find 3 or 4 places, the same thing applies. I think in years gone by, I played relative to what I'm comfortable with far bigger than I do now. Now I see it, obviously doing all the work for Betting Expert is terrific fun, doing all the research, and you get massively into the form. But I think from punting angles, it's probably harder to find standout value in some ways. Part of that is because for the preceding 3 months after Christmas, everyone's pouring over Cheltenham. It's become an obsession in national hunt racing. Where's that going to run? What's that? And of course, the other thing that's changed in recent years, a very good question really, is that with the dominance of Jigginstown and Mullins, the runners aren't actually known as they used to be. For instance, you used to know that, as you do this year, Alboon Photo's going for the Gold Cup, but you don't know which race Forheen's going to run in, which race Min's going to run in. Big owners are in control and they can decide at the last minute. So from an anti-post point of view, betting in the run-up to Cheltenham has become a lot harder. And I think, generally speaking, as I've got older, there's loads of betting opportunities Monday to Friday, and my staking would be more related to the strength of value I found on a Monday at Plumpton rather than trying to back the Gold Cup winner. You know, it's a horrible cliche, but if you back a 9-4 winner at Plumpton on a Monday, it's the same as backing the 9-4 winner at Cheltenham. It's just because it's a big race and it's on television, it's a sort of ego thing. And so I think I play smaller and more carefully than I used to, is the answer to the question. Stay disciplined, stay calm. Only bet when you're getting absolute top of the market. Only bet when you're getting enhanced each way terms. I mean, if you're a recreational punter, you'll be getting fantastic value. I mean, the £10, £20 punter has never, ever had betting so good, and that is absolutely true. I think you could play at the festival if you can find your bets to playing in the morning, playing at the top price, playing in all the bad each way races where there's enhanced places. Really, over time, you definitely will not lose, and you could well have quite a touch. I do still love it, and I think it's a fantastic brain challenge. The thing I find hardest is trying to compare Irish form to English form. That's something I don't have to do apart from at the festival. I do concentrate mainly on English racing. I've watched the Irish horses carefully with a view to festival. I can't pretend to know the form as well as some do. That's the hardest part, really, is comparing those completely different disciplines, and that does make it very difficult. But having said that, I think you can find terrific value, particularly in the novice hurdles. Horses like Edward Stone in the Supreme Novice. I'm keen on Ballyandy in the Champion Hurdle. There are lots of horses that I back personally that I think are terrific value, and if you look away from the obvious, you can find some great bets. I would be massively against that. I think it's already been diluted by the Mayor's Hurdle. I think the only race you could add, and I could understand if they did, would be a veterans chase where you could bring back all the old favourites who'd run at Cheltenham before. But I think you'd be better off getting rid of the Mayor's race for that, and that would do me. I don't think 5 days would just dilute it further.